coordinator, and obviously glad to have him back, and appreciate all the great work he is doing for us during his time here.
We will go ahead and turn it loose. I know we're passing from 1-1, so
We'll go ahead and get started. Questions?
Brad, JJ said he gained 20 pounds during the SEC media days. What will that allow him to do potentially on the field?
Yeah, whenever you add good weight and you can continue to stay strong and fast and explosive, that added girth, allows you to hold point better in the run game. It gives you a little bit more push, when you go speed to power in the pass rush. So there's a lot of obviously added benefits to that. There's obviously a lot of, the comparisons that, when Josh made that jump between his junior and senior year, and you could see he was just able to play stouter. And it also, in a lot of cases, it allows you to play with less injury. You're a little bit less frail's not the word, but you've got more density to you. And so hopefully, a lot of, sort of the injuries he's dealt with have sort of been unlucky. It hasn't been really due to size, but, it'll allow him to play more snaps.
Coach White, we talked with Coach Stoops about Deion Walker and what you guys are expecting from him this year. Can you talk about that jump you guys are expecting him to make, and then maybe the other D linemen around him, what you're expecting out of them?
Yeah, every player here, and it's not just Deion, that when they're a freshman going into their sophomore year, you're hoping for big jumps. Obviously, he came sort of strong out of the gate, and that's a testament to him and his work ethic, and sort of how he approaches the game. But now, it's time to take that next step, from good to great and great to elite. Those kind of players take those steps. And it doesn't just happen just because you're a year older. It takes a concerted effort, a year's worth of focus, and it's going to take this next month getting ready, getting all of our guys getting into football shape. So all those freshmen, especially the ones that played significantly for us last year with Deion and with Keaton and Alex Fari, we're expecting that that they take that next step, and we need them to, all of them.
The secondary looked good in that open practice back in the spring. How have you seen them come along, especially losing Keidron and Carrington? How are they coming along?
Yeah, that's a group I think that that has a chip on their shoulder. They know, obviously what they've lost, and they know that, maybe outside the building, people view it as a position of question marks. And so they take that chip with them into every practice. They've taken it through the summer. Really proud of how they've worked this summer. I think it's been a good start. The first couple of days, but they need to continue that. And then, especially at that position in the third level, that is so much. You never really know what you have until game day, when you give up that big play, because it's going to happen. It happens to every great player. So when you have a bad play, hey, are those corners going to be able to put it behind them and then play the next one? Are they going to be able to make game-changing plays? And they've done well in practice, but practice in a game for that position specifically, the back end, that's two different deals when you got a lot of eyes looking at you.
Or Alec Geiger, is he back 100% and everything now?
Yeah, he's been moving around really good. Obviously, really excited to have him back. He looks fresh, and so a good first couple of days. He hasn't, and obviously a question you can ask him, but it hasn't seemed to have any kind of residual effect. It'll be good. We'll put pads on, see how that load goes. We've been really smart and conscious about how we've progressed that, but I expect big things from him this year.
What did you like about Avery Rayner when you got him in the transfer portal this spring, and just kind of how does he fit into this the first week?
Yeah, I think the what we've looked for are guys that fit our system, and I think the success that we've had, especially at inside linebacker, the longer athletic guys have had a lot of success here. We get big bodies up front that can take blockers off them, but in this day and age, you got to be able to make plays in space. And he's shown that. He's put that on film. Obviously, we played against him last year here in the stadium. So, but there are parts of his game, and he knew, coming in that we wanted to really improve upon. And I think he's embraced that. Like, that was part of the reason he came. It wasn't, hey, we're not just going to tell you how great you are. Hey, listen, this is what you get better at. Hey, we need to put on some weight. Hey, we need to take on, be stronger and more physical. And we haven't been in pads, but you can see a willingness, which is I'm excited about. Like, he's tried to take those things, to heart. Again, as we put pads on, and then we, here in a little bit, we scrimmage and we go live, we'll really see what we have.
Brad, speaking of weight, is Octavius Huxley guy back where you want him, close to where you want him? Where's he at going this season?
Yeah, he's pushed it in the right direction. I think obviously he got too light last year, and he knows that. It's in the trenches, especially in this league, but anywhere across college football, you better have girth and mass and some substance. No matter how good your technique is, it's going to be really hard. And so I think he felt that a little bit last year. He's put on good weight, and I think he's in a good place. And now it's about sustaining through camp so you can continue to hold that weight through the season.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. We need to get to Coach Cohen and then get on to the field. Back to Coach Lynn Cohen, back for his second season as offensive coordinator.
After turning after you in the NFL and given
Our short time we've got, so we won't go any further into introductions. Y'all know who he is, so we'll turn loose for questions.
Appreciate it.
Coach Cohen, you guys have had in this system, not necessarily you, but Kentucky has had either Chris or Benny for like 6 years. How does it change the approach when it's not necessarily that constant workload guy that's been here for years?
I do have a lot of confidence in the guys that are here right now. What that looks like, I can't really say right now in terms of how many reps or how many carries each guy gets, but it will be a little bit different in terms of being able to utilize all of our backs, utilizing all of our personnel. As you mentioned, Chris, that was my only experience was with Chris, and I knew, we could hand him the ball and you were going to get 4. That was something that you knew as a coordinator, as a play caller. That was very nice and reassuring. I do have a lot of confidence in the guys that we have in this room, but how we disperse some of those carries might look a little bit different. And you really go back and look. I was talking to the running backs recently. You look at the LSU game from 2 years ago, and we ran for 300 something yards in that game, and Chris only had 19 carries. And so if you can really kind of get all those guys a lot of work while keeping them fresh throughout the season, I think that'll be really important for us moving forward.
What have you seen from Devin, and just what's that relationship been like with the guys? Getting used to that,
Yeah, he's great. Devin, he's got a great way about him. He just has a really nice way of connecting with people, just so naturally. And he's a really high football IQ kid. He loves the game. He studies the game. Like last night, I called him on my way home. He was watching 2016 LA Rams Hard Knocks. I'm like, well, how did you come to that? He's like, I just, ended up coming across it. I'm like, he's all ball, but extremely relatable to his peers while also his coaches. And also he's talented. He's talented, so it makes it fun to really work with somebody like that.
Coach, he seems like he's a born leader, is that right?
Very natural. Not rah-rah, not always out in front, having to be the guy to speak and be that kind of person, but he leads by example. He leads by the way he approaches the game, and like you said, that's natural.
To come through with his injury,
Yeah.
to come back,
Yeah.
that tells me he's a leader.
Oh, there's no question. He he worked that he wasn't even really supposed to be throwing when the doctor said, hey, when we're going to do this thing, we don't even know when you're going to be able to throw again. And he worked so tirelessly to get to the point that he got to. And he's thrown the ball even better than he did this spring. And he feels extremely strong. He's had a couple freak injuries throughout his career. I don't think he's a soft tissue, injury prone kid. I just think he's had some unfortunate issues that have come up that have really driven him to become the player that he is.
Potential unlimited.
I think so. I really do. I mean, if we can keep him upright, we got a chance.
Liam, speaking of that,
Yeah.
you came back, this is a paraphrase, you said fixing the offensive line was job one.
Yep.
So where is that, where are you?
I think we're getting there. Extremely difficult to tell after 2 practices with no pads on. But the group, I think we, evaluated and identified some players in the portal that would help us out from a depth standpoint. We lost a few, but do feel good about the guys that did come in and simplifying some of the protection schemes, simplifying some of the run schemes so that, hey, we can get really good at the things that we want to major in. And then we can just have some wrinkles off of those protections or run plays to have some good things for game planning and all that stuff, but just giving them a better chance, I think will also help.
When you saw Dane and Marion started working with them, just how excited did you get just knowing you were going to be able to work with those?
Yeah, being a part of their recruiting process and then not being able to work with them in year one. So you get them after a year of being a college football player and be able to evaluate the film. A lot of times last year, they were just running around being natural football players and athletes. So now, how do we get them to be the best receivers that they can be? Route running, detail, splits, alignment, assignment. Knowing that when you get the ball in their hands, typically good things can happen. So how do we develop that skill set to move forward and give them the best possibility of being successful, not only now, but in their futures? So love those guys. I mean, been in my house a number of times, really close with them in terms of just the relationship piece. So really excited to see where this thing can go and to build off the success they had last year.
Liam, back to that offensive line,
Yep.
Coen Ford played left tackle, you see, played right for y'all. How difficult is it for a player like that to make a transition on that side, and what do you see from him that makes you think he can make that transition?
Again, another really high football IQ kid. I mean, well coached at USC. Got 2 A's this summer in his summer classes. Just does everything right. He cares. He studies. He knows the game. So for him to be able to make that transition isn't that difficult for him. He's athletic. He's long. He's smart. Fits in extremely well in the room with his coaches. So excited about seeing what he can do for us. Keep competing at that spot for us. And, but really love Cortland and the approach that he's taken so far coming in here.
Months into this, how do you feel about the inroads you've made in that high school quarterback recruiting?
Yep.
In general, as you balance that with the
Yeah, for years, right? I mean, it was difficult, and you get a couple quarterback. Will helps us out a ton when you see that success, and then you go get a Devin, who's experienced quarterback, had a lot of snaps under his belt, and he comes, and then that helps, right? It just helps your overall recruiting in general in terms of getting higher caliber players in here, also recruiting the likes of the Dane Keys and Barryon Browns, getting better skill players in here so that when you are recruiting the quarterback position at the high school level, they see the future. They see the possibilities of what this can be at some point with good athletes around them. We've always been solid up front in terms of some of that stuff. So, it helps. And then some of the pro style system, the cell, all that can kind of help with the development of where they could potentially go.
Liam, our quarterbacks last year were the most sacked in the SEC. Can you talk about what you saw in review of last season and what potentially led to that mental errors, physicality?
I think just maybe a little too much sometimes in terms of just maybe too much scheme a little bit at times, and sometimes as a coach, we feel as though, okay, well, we've got some injuries. We've got some things up front that might not be the same as they were the year before, and you try to fix it with scheme, right? And sometimes simplifying is actually better, and I think that maybe just a little bit too much volume at times still was a new system for a lot of those guys coming in, and then you got moving parts. I dealt with it last year. We had 13 different starting offensive lines last year with the Rams. That's an NFL record. Not one you want to be a part of. Just being honest, it's the worst feeling in the world. And so I sympathize with what happened last year. And I don't fully just blame the players, and you don't fully blame the coaches. It's a collaborative effort. Now, okay, how do we evaluate what happened last year? Okay, we're in a 5-man protection. Well, the quarterback needs to know who he's hot off of, right? We're in a 6-man protection, okay? Who's the back responsible? Just simplifying your basic schemes and protections while also giving the players the best chance of being successful.
Larry and
Yeah.
Nevis, two different people.
Yeah.
You know, in the way they play the game and all this. But we know that at some points in times, with almost every team, you're gonna have a breakdown.
Yep.
And the breakdown, does Larry have the ability to get a first down?
Yeah, I think he can move enough to be able. He's savvy, and the nice thing about Devin that when he does move in the pocket or escape out of the pocket, he tries to do a really good job of remaining a passer. So he's got his eyes down the field. I think you'll see when he does escape and move, being able to keep our eligibles alive, to be able to find guys on the move. Whereas, Will, when he would escape, a lot of times, he was rolling, and there were some great plays that he made. So many third downs I can remember where it was a poor play call, or the defense schemed it up better than we did, and he went and made a play. You just can't account for that. But as a defense, when you have a quarterback that can move around a little bit, escape the pocket while remaining a passer, now your scramble drill gets into play, and guys can free up on the back end. Yeah, that's when the guy, he's just a quarterback, he's not, he'll tell you he's not the best runner in the world in terms of lowering his shoulder, but I think he can go and get us a couple first downs. But I believe some of the plays that he'll make outside of the pocket will be more with his arm.
Liam, aside from the connections to Devin, what did you guys see in Demi that made you guys want to get him, and what have you seen from him in limited time since he's gotten here?
Yeah, when Demi came up, on his visit, you saw another high football IQ kid. Just loves the game, pours into it. All he does is watch YouTube videos of football, and that's his passion. And we want to try to get as many players in here that have that same passion. He's got great hands, good missability in the open field, and I think he'll be good in pass protection as well. Well, you look at some of the ways that you can use him. I think he's got some ability to play multiple positions. He can play receiver, he can play running back, he can catch the ball in the backfield, he can protect. So, when you're looking at the position or any position in the portal, you're trying to continue to add competition and depth to that position. So, been really happy with what we've seen out of Demi so far.
You mentioned that wide receiver position is a little bit different.
Right.
You'll have to manage
Yeah.
maybe some reps. Who are some guys on the two you've already
Right.
mentioned, Brown and Key,
Yeah.
that have to kind of make a push?
Tavion Robinson, it's a big fall for him. This is a big training camp for Tavion Robinson to truly take the next step and come on and be consistent, effort, all that stuff for us to be good on offense. You talk about DeKel Crowdis and Anthony Brown. Really, those are the three guys right now that if they can step up and be consistent and be accountable, then we've got 5 wideouts that we can trust. Really look at it 2 years ago. It was Wandell, it was Josh Ali. Epps played, right? DeMarcus Harris played some. But if you're looking at 5 versus 5, I think we're in a good spot right now. Wandell had 104 catches. You can't take that back. That's hard to replace, right? So we have to do a better job of utilizing the tight ends more, utilizing the running backs maybe more in the pass game to spread out that wealth and spread out the targets so that, hey, it's not just Barryon and Dane. All those other guys can step up, but it's also other position groups that we're going to have to be able to utilize.
Folks, thank you very much.
Yeah, what's that? Similar to most years, I know they're well coached. I do. I know they're well coached. They step out on the field every single day, and they know exactly what they're doing. They don't make mistakes. They're consistent. But I think if you look at us now from 2 years ago, I think we have a little bit more of a diverse room in terms of some of the things that we can ask those tight ends to do, both in the run game, in the pass game. We might be able to utilize those guys a little bit more. Hey, spread them out wide. They're good blockers, but also I think we can really do a good job of utilizing them in the pass game. to create some different mismatches.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. We'll head out to our activities on the field.
Thanks, guys.